Hey everyone, Brian from Bear Bull Traders here. It is Sunday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there that's celebrating St. Patty's Day. So let's just take a look at the week that was and maybe look ahead at some possible trades, some stuff we're watching. So let's get started by looking at the market internals. You can see here we're pretty much 50-50 on stocks above and below the 200-day moving average, and still way more stocks above their 50-day moving average, and still lots of new highs compared to new lows. So overall, a bit of a bullish market, although it's not quite as bullish as it used to be. I think that a number of stocks above the 200-day were significantly higher a little while ago. Let's take a look at the groups that were performing here. See, technology and healthcare, it seems to be this week, this is where money was flowing. Technology with the semiconductors, and you see on the 1 month performance, utilities keeps popping up because it has been strong utilities on the 6 month. But technology, definitely that's where money's flowing back into. Let's take a look at the indexes, see how they're doing. The daily on the Dow, we came back, bounced off, pretty much bounced off this 200-day moving average, and now we're back here at some prior level of resistance. It's going to be resistance. RSI heading up here, big volume day on Friday. And let's take a look here at the weekly. Again, you can kind of see here we bounced back up. Again, RSI looking strong. Volume was better this week than it was on the down week last week. The IWM, small cap, again still struggling as an index. Just most of the other indexes are above their 200. It's poked its head up twice there, double top, and then sold off. And now it's up again below the 200-day moving average. And we had a bit of an inside week here, big candle down, then candle in the middle of the down candle on the upside, volume kind of average, RSI right at the sort of midpoint. This is where we may end up being stuck on some of these indexes. We may just end up chopping sideways. Obviously, technology was a strength this week, and the QQQ is showing that. You know, we came up through the 200, bit of an area of resistance here, pulled back below the 200, and now we're breaking out to new highs. 50 turning up, looks like it might cross the 200. RSI looks strong. It's at 70 now. MACD heading up. I think if anything, this is where the money is going to be probably flowing again next week. Let's take a look at the weekly. You can see here another strong week here, and there's some pretty significant resistance here, probably 185 where we did a double top, but we got a bit of a ways to go. Volume coming in a little bit, or at least getting stronger as we're going through the weeks here. So technology still looks like where the strength is going to be. S&P, the large caps, again, we're kind of breaking out here. Did the same thing as the Qs, came back, dipped below the 200, back up again. And again, we're at this, you know, there's a point here, point here, point here. You know, it's all, as you can see here, it's pretty much, this is where we're, you know, some resistance is. So pretty clear where we're going to have some struggling. So we'll see what happens this week. But yeah, 200 looks, this area here looks like some area that we might have some resistance on the SPY. And the dollar index, like to watch the dollar. You can see here we got a false breakout and then a real breakdown. So we'll see which direction this goes, if it just stays in this range or, but you know, typically that would be good for commodities, for gold, but we really haven't seen much strength in gold yet. Maybe emerging markets might help the emerging markets a bit, their stocks. And the VIX, the volatility index, obviously continues to get sucked out of the market. Even when we had a down week last week, the volatility really didn't change that much. So we just continue to head lower on the volatility. And part of the reason is all the bankers and the Federal Reserves of the world, they're all saying they're going to continue to keep interest rates low, stimulate the economy, whatever they can. China said we're going to do whatever they can to, maintain economic activity. When you got that kind of so we want to call it a put, when you got that kind of support for the market by all these central banks and governments, it's really going to be difficult for me to see the market going lower. It could be that we could be capped to the upside, and we're definitely got some support on the downside. And you don't want to fight. They say you don't want to fight the Fed, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go up. It could be we could be just stuck here. So Avco did get in. So I said in my mid-cap recap last week, I was watching this for an entry. I missed out on this big move. Here, unfortunately, I was going to get in. I just hesitated, pull the trigger on it, so I ended up taking a position on a pullback. Got back to the 440 level, and that's kind of where it went out on Friday. So I'm just going to watch that. My stop out level before, and I'm just hoping we can punch back up again above the 5 and maybe get up to this 6 level where I'll be looking to take some off. So that was one swing trade that didn't really, again, I just hesitated to pull the trigger on that, so I didn't get as good an entry. I was hoping to get an entry around 4. So I was chasing it a bit, but KO still in. Nothing much to see here. It's just a sort of long-term trade. I'm hoping it'll come back maybe at some point, get back up to 47, 48. But it's a slow mover. Had a big down day on volume. So TNA and TZA are the small cap ETFs. I was playing those. I shouldn't actually have them on my active list because I'm out of both of them right now. You can kind of see here we're not really going anywhere with TNA, and probably same with TZA. We're just flat. So again, I'm not really sure if we're going to be making any big moves. We've got this support to the downside, and we've got maybe peak earnings and some limited upside. So I'm just not sure if we're going to see any significant moves, but I should shift those to the on watch list. So let's take our on watch list. I'm watching gold. With all the central banks and governments in play around the world, essentially supporting the market with their low interest policies. I really don't know that gold's sort of typically a safety trade, but I don't see it being. I think it's going to actually start to fade again because of all this support. So, government, low interest rates policies. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to let the price action tell me what direction to take. And, this is the way I typically play it was with nugget or dust. The miners typically move with the price of gold. So I'll be watching those. There's really no trade here right now. I'm just keeping them on active watch. And same with dust. It's going to break one way or another. We'll just see which way it goes. Emerging markets, I mentioned that, mentioned that the dollar was had sold off. It looked a little weak, and emerging markets popped up. You can see here what it did on Friday, huge volume. And RSI heading back up, maybe MACD turning here. And let's take a look at the weekly on this. Kind of see here we're at a level of resistance, 43.50-ish. So if we break through there, I'm probably going to be taking a position on this, and we'll be looking at 47 maybe as a target, and then this breakout point, we'll be looking at it as an area of prior resistance will become support. So I'll be looking at this sort of 50 moving average as the point where I would stop out. RSI looks good in it. It's turning back up. We've got sort of a double bottom here in the RSI. MACD turning up. So I think especially if the dollar sells off, I think this will be a decent trade. see here what's going on. Let's take a look. What else we got? Healthcare we mentioned was strong, and we had a good week last week. You can see here LABU. It's another ETF I like to trade, and it's had a nice comeback from this level, bounced sort of off the 50. Be watching that for maybe a break above this this level here, this 66 level. If we do get a break above that, might look for a decent trade. But this does tend to move around a lot because it's a 3-time. You could play the other stocks like the IBB is another one that's been doing well. Let's take a look at IBB. Yeah, again, it's a little bit more expensive. It's an ETF, but it's not a 111, so you don't get the outsized move down and up. So you could play that for a break sort of above the 115 level. Let's take a look at, I wanted to look at Roku. Roku, you can see here, big move up on earnings report, continued strength, sold off on this downgrade, and concerns about competition. So I'll be watching this. Maybe we'll see if it can get start to look like it's going to trend back up to this 70 level, fill this gap that we had here. And it's been strong, and I think got a level here to trade against. This 60 level had a big volume day here, so maybe worth a trade here. Be watching that one. So let's move on to natural gas. I like to trade natural gas if it's in a trend, and it's definitely not in a trend right now. It's just chopping around sideways. So I'm just waiting for this thing to see if we can find a direction. XLE Energy ETF just chop, but again, if it can break out of this level here, we might have a trade on our hands. So we'll keep watching that. And XLU, again, we talked about the utilities, how strong they've been. Another strong week here. Let's take a look at the weekly. It's just crazy. Look at that, nice trend up, breaking through this prior level of resistance, and now we're just pushing higher. And there's no overhead supply. In other words, there's nobody who's gotten into this stock back here and it dropped down and now they're stuck in it. There's nobody who has any motivation to take profits or recover their losses if they'd bought up here and sold and had the stock move down to here. So we've just got no overhead supply up here. So the trend is the friend in this one, and it's probably going to head higher. And that's it, everybody. I hope we're all having a good weekend. Like I say, St. Paddy's Day. It's beautiful weather out on the west coast. I know it's not so great east, but hope you're having a great weekend, whatever you're doing, whatever your activity is, and we will see you in the Bear Bull Trading Room on Monday morning, tomorrow morning. Check out my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade, if you haven't already. And we'll see you on Monday morning, everybody who's joining us. Bye for now.